Hello, and thank you for joining us for Evolve TV, where we uncover the secrets of how mechanics can improve, optimise and systemise their businesses. I'm your host Ryan Davis, and in this episode we're lifting the veil on SP Tools' latest line of cordless tools. We're joined by our special guest Tom Tucker, who is the CEO over at SP Tools.
As part of the leading Evolve workshop program by Mechanic.com.au, Evolve TV helps aftermarket workshops discover how to become more connected with the marketplace, their customers, their staff, as well as other leading aftermarket workshops. Learn how to leverage digital platforms and tools as well as best business practices in order to run a more efficient and innovative automotive service and repair business. This is Evolve TV.
Welcome back to the show, Tom.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you back on again.
Episode 2 for me.
It is episode 2 for you.
Yep.
So last time we had you on board, we tried to pit air tools and cordless tools against one another. We were trying to find which is the best, which is the favourite, and your resounding answer in the end was right tool for the right job. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to pose the same question to you now that we've got this new range of cordless tools that have come out for SP. Now I've got something sitting behind my chair that I want to share with you and pose this question to you. This has been my staple of my technician life over the last decade. This sucker here. All right?
That's an oldie but a goldie.
I've used this every day. It has been used and abused. So this is a 3/8 drive, 12 volt, I think, from memory.
I can even tell you the model number.
Go.
It's an 81113.
This has been, without any wavering, the most useful tool of my career. And I can't fault it. So this must have been produced over a decade ago.
Oh, well and truly. In fact, it's funny you should pull that out because we ran a competition a couple of years ago for who could produce the oldest, ugliest tool and prove the age of it. We were going to give it, and we gave someone a brand new one.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, some of the stories that came in on social media were gold, literally 10 plus years old, still on the same battery, had fallen in the oil trough, had gone here, and done everything. So, testament to the quality of that little tool. It really is.
It is. And so the reason I bring this out is you've released a new range of cordless tools, and I would struggle to improve upon this.
Well, we have.
Why? What's inspired it?
Well, I guess like anything, you're inspired because we get constant feedback from the customers, and we are one of the very few power tool and tool companies that we try to get almost 100% of the product back to us to either repair or replace. Okay. Even if we've already replaced it, we still try and get it back because we're just interested in, if nothing more, why did it fail? What was the cause of the failure? And I guess off the back of collecting that data, and we've collected that for, almost 12, 13 years in the cordless game now. Okay. You get a trend of what breaks and what doesn't break and why it breaks and all the little bits in between. And, there's lots of it that's just, excusing the pun, but, I backed over with the car and now I want warranty on it. Well,
we're up.
We know that happens. And but you do actually start to see a few trends in things that you go, we could improve that. So I guess the inspiration for any improvement is how can we improve it? Do we make more power? Can we make it more robust? Can we make a better switch? Can we make a better motor? And obviously those things have happened over the years. We've seen, brushed motors become brushless motors, and there is still good reason for both of those in the range. Like there's no, I agree that, well, I always say this, brushless is a great concept, but don't count away the brush motor either. It still has some very good uses within the field. Yep. We've seen the improvement of switches from just the old on-off switch to variable speed to all sorts of control panels. So I guess sometimes we improve things for the sake of improvement, if you want to call that. Yep. But most of the times we're trying to improve for how do we make a better widget so that you're happier at the end of the day.
And I think a lot of our viewers would maybe even be surprised to hear that. They might have the notion that you sell the tool, it breaks, chucks in the bin, but to hear that you're actually doing that R&D to how can we reiterate, how can we make the next version better?
Yeah, electronically we store the information too. We not only report on everything that's broken, but we then log it, and we can actually tell you at what rate of warranty of every single, of all 4,000 lines we sell, every single product has a warranty return rate and a rate that's coded, and we follow that rates closely, and it prompts us every quarter or so to run through the system
Wow.
and see if they've got any
See
faults.
metric at all.
Yeah, metric. You got to, because you can have a small fault happening for a few months and you won't pick it up for 6 months. But if you follow the numbers trend in a direction, you know you got to go and look for a problem.
Yeah. So when we talked about innovation with cordless tools in our previous episode, you talked to a few key points that are a bit of an Achilles heel for cordless as an industry. One of them was around when we talked about impact wrenches and things like the mechanical hammering parts, the anvils that they've got a lifespan because they're doing hard work.
Yep.
The other two that I recall were electronics. So a lot of these cordless tools have sensitive electronics inside, and you know, at the end of the day, if it's in a car, in a computer, it's driving around, it's not having a hard life. But in a rattle gun, or it's getting, you know,
absolutely,
pardon my French, the shit hammered out of it.
You are absolutely spot on.
And that's not usually good for electronics. And number three was batteries and battery chemistry. So there's a bit that I've just chucked at you there.
Yep.
How have those things been taken into consideration, if they have, in this new line of tools?
Well, going back a step before we go forward a step, you just asked us, what do we look for? And one of the things that we noticed was probably everything you've just said. We've probably got hardening technology and hammer technology to a level where we're happy with the life. Yep. We very, very rarely, I mean, I can't even think of an occasion lately where we've replaced a hammer because it wore out. They just don't wear out compared with the rest of the tool.
Tick.
So tick, that's not a problem. And so in our brain, we don't go chasing that, because really right now, unless we're going to massively increase power, and even if we do, you're increasing the size of the hammer. So robustness comes with size anyway. Yep. You can't make more power without a bigger hammer. It's pretty logical, I suppose.
And in a lot of the tools that we use in a workshop, we're constrained to the form factor. Like it's, you know, if it's got a crap load of torque and it's this big, it's not going to do the job. So
and you're right. So you are limited.
Yeah.
Because we can make more power. It just needs to be a bigger widget.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Yep.
I'm sure at some stage the technology will come along and someone will invent a new system that somehow miniaturizes it. I can't quite see how that's going to happen easily, because you still do have basic physics at play. You know, torque is a result of two objects impacting, you know, which comes down to force, momentum, all the calculations. So
can't violate it.
And mass and acceleration are the two things that you just can't get away from.
Yep.
Well, one's speed and one's mass.
Yep.
You've got to increase one or the other. So, you know, good luck trying to find. However, you then went on to say electronics, batteries, all the rest of it.
Yep.
One of the other things, and this has probably been our big catch cry, and it's why we're going to push this hard into 2025. This is the brand new models just come out. There's a whole range flows out over the next 12 months. But one of the big things that we've changed is the ability for the tool to withstand, call it greater work accidents.
Okay.
If I pose to you, what's the number one cause of a tool failing in the workshop, what would you say?
Loss, but that's not failure. So you alluded to running over it. I have had accidents and destroyed tools.
If I said to you, how many times has the impact wrench fallen off the hoist? Could you put it on the crossbar?
Oh, yes. Yep. 100%.
I can tell you that on its own is the number one cause of things that break.
Because you balance it and you think it's right.
We do it. I do it in our workshop. You take some wheels off, you do this, you do that. There's the arm of the hoist. You think that's good. You stick it up on there.
Yeah.
You wander around. You do a few more jobs. You go to the other side. You press the down button or the up button or whatever happen. Bit of a jerk, which happens.
Yeah.
It's not quite balanced as good as you thought it was balanced, and
dead.
Boom. Yeah. Now, traditionally in the market, every power tool company has always worked around about a 1 meter drop test. So when we test tools, you hold them at a meter, drop them on the ground over and over and over, and hopefully they survive. Sometimes they don't, but most times they will.
Not high enough hoist.
Well, guess what? That's exactly what we said. It's not high enough. So we decided that with the new program, 2 meters was going to be the new drop test height.
Okay.
So we have worked away for quite a while now, and it has taken a while to get a whole program. And it's not just the one part, because then you start looking at it and you go, it does damage to the plastic housing, it does damage to the internals of the battery, it can do damage to the electronics, it can pretty much break a number of different parts. That makes sense? Now, there's some things we just can't fix. You can't stop it if it landed on its head and broke the metal housing. if I make a thicker metal housing, I could stop it, but then everyone's going to whinge that it's now too heavy. But if you look at the common things that break, it was generally internally in the battery connection point, or something in the electronics. They were sort of the three that popped up all the time. So we've gone about our way of basically reinventing those three parts to bring them up to a 2 meter drop test. And that's where we're heading. So we're going we're not trying to make a new widget that's massively more powerful. We've just gone to what do mechanics do that's relatively, excuse the French, stupid, and how do we fix that problem?
And I think the current, as well as this new line of tools, they're not light on in the torque capability.
No.
And if we're real about it, we see these videos of like, can this half-inch bust this massive rusted bolt? But in the day-to-day operations of a workshop, it does happen, but it's not every day you're facing like these terribly rusted on fasteners that you need all of this grunt for. Day-to-day operations, you just need something that's capable for the job.
Yeah.
Quickly, it's light, you're not going to break it. So,
well, this comes back to courses for courses,
Yeah.
The small 3/8 that you just had there is the most used tool in any one toolkit normally. The mid-torque half-inch 18 volt is the most used for wheel nuts removal, brakes, calipers, whatever.
Yeah.
And this big Bertha in half-inch is probably the one that you pull out the least, because it's the one you go and get when it's very extremely stubborn, and more often than not, it'll undo it or it'll break it. One or the other,
Yeah.
you'll have it undone.
You get the job done.
You'll get the job done. It just might be a bit more job afterwards. So you're right. It's we're not lacking on torque. It was purely our biggest goal here. We wanted to bring our torque up to the industry, benchmark that's at now, because our previous model was almost 10 years old. So it had fallen behind the market leaders. So we've got right up into that top 2 or 3 again.
Awesome.
But while going there, we also wanted to make sure that we made an improvement for the life of the tool. Because at the end of the day, if I can make it last longer, it's a better investment.
Yep.
If you're going to spend your hard-earned, you'd like to be able to think that's going to last me a couple of years, not 3 months, 6 months.
I think as mechanics, we understand the difference between price and value, right?
Yeah.
We know that we don't put cheap parts on cars because then the customer's back, you replace, it's not efficient.
Yeah.
You want good bang for buck and longevity in something that's going to get the job done. And it sounds like this ticks all the boxes. Now, one of the hot topics and something that's, I would say, is revolutionised our industry from a tools perspective has been the proliferation of lithium ion and battery technology.
Yep.
And we've seen big jumps and then little jumps over the years. As I did a bit of research about this range, I started learning about a new battery technology, acronyms like INR, and I'll hang my hat up. I don't understand.
So basically, you're putting it on me to tell you the difference between the four types of cathode.
They're your tools, Tom.
That's fine. No, look, like any technology, it's got better and better and better. So there's, and I literally will refer to my notes here just a little bit so that I got the exact things. There's IMR, ICR, INR, and IFR.
Okay.
They all stand for something different. And effectively what it stands for is what the cathode's made out of. And by making the cathode out of different materials, you get different, output, if that makes sense, or you get different results. So M is manganese oxide, which they mix with lithium, obviously, and that gives you, high discharge rates but low energy storage, which basically means lots of power to the motor but won't last very long.
Right.
Then there's ICR, which is the cobalt version. It's pretty much the opposite. It'll do exactly opposite to what the manganese does. And then there was IFR, which is the one that you probably see the most. It was the ferrous or the phosphate one.
Yep.
It's a bit of an all-rounder. And why a lot of companies went towards that is because it's got extremely good, what they call thermal stability. We've all heard about fires in workshops and whatever caused by lithium. Well, it's one of those products. And I would have to say that in this world, we suffer very little with that in any manufacturer because we all use pretty good quality product. No one's excusing the few no-name brands. Most of the good brands use good product and we don't have that issue.
Yeah.
But that phosphate program was extremely reliable at avoiding any what they call thermal runaway. And you got reasonable, discharge rate, reasonable energy density. But then INR came along and you just, and what that actually is a mixture of manganese and cobalt and lithium. So then you sort of got a bit of the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
quite good good discharge rates, really good energy, density, good thermal stability. So all of a sudden, it's a bit like, making the perfect car, isn't it? It's got lots of power, but it's really fuel efficient.
Yeah.
So it's that whole getting it together right
Yeah.
and using that chemistry. But like anything, when you go to the thing that does it all, what's the result? You pay a bit more money.
Yeah.
It's very simple. You pay for what you get. So we, in amongst everything, we decided that was the way we wanted to go, because we want to get high discharge rates, because that's how you make power. But at the same time, we want you to plug in your 6 amp hour battery and it to do more work than the other 6 hour or 5 amp battery. So
as you were going through the different benefits of each chemistry, I'm thinking, no, we need that, and we need that, and we need that. They're all important.
Yeah, they are.
So this is a bespoke.
Yeah, it's very much. And if you go and do your research, which you can read all about it, they actually recommend different chemistries for different products.
Yeah.
Consumer electronic products are better because they don't need high discharge rates. And then, so there are certain things that are better for certain. So certainly power tools, though, tend to fall into one or two chemistry types, and INR is now the one where you will see most of the high-end manufacturers push that direction, because it will give them the best result with the best safety.
So this is a giant leap in terms of the battery technology.
Yeah, and it's not brand new. It's been around for a little while, but it's like everything, it takes time to evolve. It's also a cost factor. The one great part, as much as we all, look sideways about electric cars a little bit as mechanics, because we're not quite there yet, are we? Everyone I talk to is a little bit on the fence, but they're not sure. The one great thing about electric vehicles is they have improved battery technology out of control. The cost to produce has come down dramatically, and then the technology's gone up. So effectively, the cost has sort of been stabilised, but the technology just keeps going up and up and up, and you just get better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
So we are all the lucky recipients of that in the products that we sell and we use and we develop. So I guess we're the byproduct of another industry which is throwing billions of dollars at that technology.
Yeah, and so with this line of tools, the SP tools range. I'm biased, but I mean, even previous to Mechanic, I've been an SP man prior to even Mechanic.com.au, and they've always been good quality at a good price point. You always kind of feel, whenever I've bought something off the tool truck that's SP, I've always felt like I've got a bit of a good deal. I've got a bit of an advantage there. You talked about this battery chemistry. If you want to not have trade-offs and mix it all together, I'm guessing it comes at a cost.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like you can't have the best chemistry and the best drop test and the best of, trying to get everything right. You get a small inflation in price. Well, I shouldn't call it inflation. It's just an is. So in fact, our new range on average is about 10% more than the old range.
Oh, okay.
But in the great scheme of things, you spend a little bit more. In fact, it's lower than the inflation rate. So if I look at what we've all gone up in cost of living in the last 2 years, we've actually gone down in price, even though we've gone up. But you are getting a much better product. And it was the old thing. We decided to make a change. We had to make a wholesale change across the board, and that was going to come at either some cost reduction, some cost increase. And across the program, there was different parts that went up and down, but overall, it lands around at 10% more than what the old range. But considering the old range is 10 years old, that's
not bad, considering it's a better product.
Yeah.
And I guess in terms of the cordless market, it's still going to be competitive.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So what have you got here today?
I just brought in one sample of the new critters. This is our new 1/2-inch high torque.
Yep.
And can't even put it together. That's our new battery, obviously, and it's extremely easy to see.
Yep.
And that's the big Bertha of the range. Probably the one you'll pull out the least, because it's got the most power and breaks everything. But it's where everyone puts the pinnacle of their product range now. Even though it might be used the least, we all get ranked on who makes the most power,
it's cool,
how heavy is it, how cool is it, how much grunts it got. Let's face it, we all want a bigger engine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the bottom. We want more horsepower, if that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the big Bertha. There is a 3/4 version of that. There's there is 1-inch versions coming, which are different again. And so there's a whole program that's off of that. I just grabbed that one because that'll be the one that your average mechanic will want to buy as is.
Yeah. It's solid.
Solid. It'll undo everything. If it won't undo it with that, it's breaking.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
It's got a good balance to it as well. Yeah. Nice. And so the SX range, is this how wide?
It doesn't stand for what you think. And it's like, In the office, everyone
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's very sexy. Is that what you're saying?
It's a very sexy tool. I'm biased. I love the orange colour. It's just hand in glove with Mechanic.com.au. Is this limited to impacts? How wide does this new range spread in terms of tools?
Look, it will cover mechanical industry, the full range when it's finished. Initially, the new impacts are all out in both 12 and 18 volt for obvious reasons. That's the thing we sell the most of.
Yep.
Following that will be, in the 12 volt, there's already the drills and the impact drivers and the screwdrivers and all those bits are already out. In the 18 volt, the drills and the other bits are coming first thing in 2025. The ratchets come probably a month later, and then that will be an evolution, and it just continues on. Will we do circular saws? Probably not. Yeah. We're not a carpentry company. We're an automotive company, but it'll be the full range of automotive. And there's some new automotive. There's some right angle impact wrenches, and there's some stuff that's new to the range. We've never done before as well, which are all in that pre-production stage right now. So you'll see them in early 25.
And what about cross compatibility of chargers?
Well, there's the only drawback that we have.
Okay.
That was one of the decisions we had to make, and we made it almost 2 years ago now. If we are going to make these tools better to fall off the hoist, what was one of the things that broke the most? It was the battery connection. Yep. So in the essence of improving all those bits and pieces, there was a change in the electronic systems to make them more robust, which meant you couldn't have old batteries and new batteries talking with each other as well.
Yep.
So they had to to keep the old system, we had to make a lot of compromises. In the end, we went, you know what? If we're going to make a better product, let's just make a better product and be done with it.
Do it once, do it right.
However, we're not ignoring the old range either. We'll continue to service that with batteries, chargers, and all the other bits and pieces for at least the next 5 to 10 years, until eventually we know we'll just be left with some catching dust on the shelf, which will come to that problem when I get there. But the new range is obviously where we're aiming at, and the new platform is all about exactly what I said, the ability for it to put up with human mechanical error.
Use and abuse. So if our viewers want to go and have a look, have a touch, have a feel, order them, what's the best channels that we can do that?
Right now, go to the website.
Yep.
And then you can direct yourself from there. So sptools.com is the easiest place to start, and then you can find dealers, find your local tool truck, find whoever else.
There's videos on there, there's product images,
the whole
information.
So, everything's there. And as these roll out into the tool trucks and all the other the retailers, etc., they'll be highlighted on the website,
awesome.
So people know where to go.
And as we wrap up, if we just step outside of the cordless range, is there anything sort of hot on the market that is a new tool, is a coming tool that's worth a mention at the moment?
We've got about 4,000 items. Which one would you like?
We've got 30 seconds. Someone was talking the other day about flare spanners or something.
Yeah, we do. We actually have just launched a brand new range of ratcheting flare nut spanners, which they're just a little favourite of mine, mainly because I seem to be forever pulling brakes on and off a little race car that we own, and they are the best thing I've ever come across for doing it in a hurry.
Yeah.
And when am I always doing it? In a hurry at a racetrack. So they're just literally a clip over the top, and they're just a very simple ratchet mechanism that when you first look at it, you don't quite get it. Once you've used it, you go, these are gold.
I can't picture how that would work, but I'll have a look.
And it's not just for brakes. That's the obvious one that we know. Hydraulics is the other big one, and the hydraulics guys that we've already tested it on. And then we do a lot of that. We do a lot of placement in the marketplace, go and put a product out there. So with that product, we literally put it in a brake place, put it in some hydraulic hose fitters.
Yep.
The hydraulic hose fitters were the one that came back, with their arms and when can we have more before anybody else, because it just saved them so much time. Because, hydraulic fitting, it's open end spanner one after another. This thing was just and done it up that quick.
Yep, awesome. And so, and I'll recommend for our viewers as well, if you're not already following Facebook and Instagram channels for SP Tools, there's always fresh content on there, latest tools, little nifty stuff you don't even really know that you guys do. So that's a really good place to pick up on that. Tom, thanks for making the time to come down here to Adelaide and get back on the show, and it's always a pleasure.
I hope we all learned something, and I hope you all enjoy our new range of cordless tools.
I'll be ordering some soon. Thanks Tom. For everyone watching, we hope you've gotten a whole heap of value from this episode of Evolve TV. If you have any comments or questions about what we've discussed here today, go ahead and visit the Mechanic.com.au community to continue the conversation. We'll see you next time.